Hello and welcome back to California Geology. I am Dr. Robert Lopez, and today I want to talk about some of these range-front faults along these mountain ranges in the Basin and Range, which lead to some young volcanics that occur in these regions as well. So this is our overhead projector here. So see these faults, right? These normal faults that are breaking. These are called high-angle normal faults because they occur at a relatively steep angle, and some of them are deep enough where they can penetrate the mantle, right? So because there's crustal thinning in the Basin and Range, we're seeing some decompression melting as the asthenosphere comes up and can cause some magmas to come up here and cause some volcanic eruptions along these range-front faults. So in a sense, these range-front faults act as feeder dikes, right? So these feeder dikes are conduits for the magma to come up and erupt, primarily as basalt volcanism. In some cases, it may be the magmas may mix with some continental crust, and you might get some rhyolite, right? So some of that crustal melting. So this is what we'll see along the Basin and Range, and some of the more prominent volcanic fields in the Basin Range and the Mojave include the Big Pine basalts. In Death Valley, there's the Mojave crater. In the southern Owens Valley, there's a Coastal Volcanics. The Cima Volcanics over by Barstow and Baker on your way out to Las Vegas. And so is Pisgah. Pisgah and Amboy are also near Baker and Barstow. And the Dish Hill Volcanics are closer to the Colorado River. One interesting thing about the ages of the volcanism, they start around 16 to 19 million years ago, and some of them are recent as a few, maybe 1,000 years old. In fact, I think some of the ones over here at the Cima field are about 200 years old. So some really young volcanism, still active regions here in California. And remember, in my last video, I mentioned that Basin and Range extension started in central Nevada about 40 million years ago and migrated both eastward and westward. And about 16 million years ago, it reaches California. So most of the lavas that we start seeing, most of these conduits start penetrating into the mantle, and that's about the timing for these volcanic rocks. So let's go back to our PowerPoint here, and we'll look at some of these volcanics here. So this is another image of the Owens Valley. Here's Owens Valley. In fact, this is Owens Lake, the dry lake. And here you can barely see the scarp right in here, but you can see the very high vertical relief. And in fact, here you can actually see Mount Whitney here. This is actually called Lone Pine Peak. In the previous picture here, this is my class of that same year. We're at the Alabama Hills, and we're looking at Lone Pine Peak here, right? So Mount Whitney is actually kind of farther behind it. So there's Lone Pine, and Mount Whitney would be back in here. Now, for these young volcanics, this is actually looking at some of the fields here. Obviously, the Bishop Tuff is part of this. The Big Pine basalts south of Bishop. Here's Lone Pine, and here's the Owens Valley Scarp here. And then there is a volcanic field over in Darwin and the Coastal Volcanic Fields. And then some other ones down here toward the Mojave Desert. This particular crater is called Ubehebe crater in Death Valley. So it's Ubehebe crater and Little Hebe crater, but they're related to the same type of faulting and volcanism related to a Basin and Range extension. Now, this picture here is from the Coastal Volcanic Field. In fact, this is called Red Hill Volcano. It's a little cinder cone. And Red Hill Volcano occurs in this coastal field right in here. And so in the Owens Valley. And so this little cinder cone produced this lava, which is about 10,000 years old. It's one of the more recent volcanism at least for this basalt volcanism here. Now, this is a little farther up. I don't know if you can make it out. There's some cinder cones in here, some lava flows coming down. So here's the Sierra Nevada, and the range front fault occurs here, and we're seeing these little cinder cones forming in here. Okay, now we're back looking at the Google Earth here, and so here's Owens Lake here, the high Sierra Nevada, and the Owens Valley Scarp. You can sort of make it out a little bit right in here. There's the Alabama Hills. We're going to go north a little bit over towards Big Pine, and you can see there's some volcanic fields in here. These are part of the Big Pine basalts. So let's zoom in here. I was just showing you a picture of these. And you can see a nice little cinder cone right here. Nice little cinder cone. Look at these nice little cinder cones up in here. So these are all lava flows, feeder conduits where these, in fact, here, look at these good lava flows coming down in here, all related to this basin and range extension and the young volcanics that occur along these range front faults. All right, well, let's stop here for now and we'll continue on.